Pamela Cole stood behind the serving table, the aroma of honey-glazed chicken and buttery cornbread drawing a long line at the local wedding expo in Atlanta. "This is amazing," one woman said, wiping sauce from her lips. "Who made this?" Pamela smiled, proud. "Pam's Southern Table. I run it myself." It had been 3 years since she quit her office job and poured everything into her catering dream. Her mother, Lori, had doubted her at first. "Food won't pay bills," she'd warned. But Pamela had proved her wrong. Weekends were packed with events. Reviews were glowing. But there was one problem: transport. Her old Honda Civic coughed smoke on the highway, and clients were starting to complain. Her dream delivery van sat on her vision board, untouched. The only other option? School. A master's in logistics could unlock doors she never imagined. But tuition was steep. Still, she couldn't ignore the whisper in her soul: "You were made for more." She kept saving, praying, planning. Her best friend Carol Benson cheered her on, or so she thought. They'd built this dream together, late nights sketching logos and planning menus. But one betrayal was about to change everything. And Pamela had no idea it was already in motion. Carol Benson knew every detail about Pamela's business. They'd grown up like sisters. From potlucks to pop-ups, Carol had stood beside Pamela, helping with tastings, managing calls, even prepping side dishes. But lately, Carol had grown distant. Cold. She'd missed 2 events, bailed on a tasting, and never showed up at Pamela's pitch meeting for a tech startup event. "You good?" Pamela texted. Carol replied with a simple thumbs-up emoji. Something felt off. That weekend, Pamela got a call from her usual client, except this time, it wasn't a booking. "We went with someone else," the woman said. Another company offered the same menu for less. Same name too, Pam's Southern Table, but in pink. Pamela's chest tightened. What? She rushed online, typed in her business name. And there it was. A flashy Instagram page, same dishes, different logo, Carol's face in the highlights. Carol had stolen everything. The menu. The brand. Even the name. Pamela's hands shook. She felt gutted. Every recipe, every photo, copied. Dressed up. Repackaged as Carol's own. The betrayal wasn't subtle, it was public, bold, and brutal. Carol had gone behind her back and launched a rival version of Pamela's dream. Her silence wasn't distance. It was deception. And the fallout was just beginning. Pamela stormed into Carol's favorite cafe off Peachtree Street. Carol sat sipping her iced caramel latte like nothing had happened. "We need to talk," Pamela said, slamming her phone down. Carol glanced at it, unfazed. "I figured you'd see it eventually. You used my recipes, my brand, everything I built." Carol tilted her head. "Your brand? I helped you. I was the brand too." Pamela blinked, stunned. "You said we were building it together." Carol shrugged. "And now I'm building it better." The words hit like a slap. Customers were confused. Some thought Pamela was rebranding. Others accused her of copying Carol. And bookings? Vanished. "Why would you do this?" Pamela asked, voice cracking. Carol leaned back. "You were holding us back. You think too small, school, vision boards, all that crap. I want real success. Not hustle dreams." Pamela left without another word. The betrayal festered in her gut. Her savings were drained. Her bookings, gone. But somewhere beneath the pain, a slow fire began to burn. She wouldn't fight this battle with gossip or tantrums. No, if Carol wanted a show, Pamela would give her one. Just not today. The best revenge wasn't a slap or a scream. It was the quiet rise that no one saw coming. Pamela deleted her business page. It hurt. Every post, every review, gone. But she needed to disappear before she could rise again. She packed up her apartment, said goodbye to her clients, and enrolled in the master's program at Emory University. Lori, her mother, was stunned. "You're walking away?" "No," Pamela said. "I'm starting over." She moved into a smaller space near campus, cooked from a shared kitchen, and juggled 2 part-time jobs. Early mornings were for catering small orders. Evenings, she buried herself in logistics lectures and case studies. Carol's face kept popping up online, magazine features, influencer shoutouts, TV segments. "The woman behind Atlanta's rising soul food brand," one headline said. It stung. Pamela watched it all from her dorm room with a paper plate of rice and beans in her lap. But she didn't hate Carol. Not anymore. She pitied her. Because Carol's foundation was stolen, and Pamela was learning how to build empires. Quietly. Patiently. One semester at a time. She swore she wouldn't seek revenge with fire. She'd use blueprints, supply chain mastery, and time. And when the time came, she'd own more than Carol ever dreamed of. Not out of spite, but justice. Strategic. Silent. Unforgettable. By her second semester, Pamela was excelling. Her professor, Dr. Reynolds, called her a natural at supply chain mapping. "You think like an executive," he said. Pamela smiled, but inside, she was exhausted. Between classes, catering side orders, and cleaning offices overnight, sleep was a luxury. She didn't care. Pain had become her fuel. Each delivery she made on foot, each paper she wrote at 2 a.m., was part of her blueprint. Still, the whispers about Carol never stopped. Didn't she steal her friend's business? Pamela who? I think Carol was the brains anyway. Pamela kept her head down. Don't fight small battles, she reminded herself. Win the war. Then one day, a guest speaker changed everything. It was the Women in Logistics Summit. The keynote speaker? A Nigerian-American woman named Dar. Aisha Green, who built a multi-million-dollar firm after her first business was stolen by a former partner. Pamela leaned forward, hanging on every word. "Success is the best revenge," Dr. Green said. "But owning what they thought they could steal? That's victory." After the talk, Pamela approached her. "What did you do first?" she asked. Dr. Green smiled. "I stopped surviving. And I started designing." Pamela nodded. The war had just begun. Pamela updated her vision board that night. The van photo was gone. In its place, a sleek glass building labeled Cole Logistics Group. She wasn't just learning to survive, she was learning to scale. Her professors noticed. One even nominated her for a national case competition in supply chain innovation. Pamela won second place. A recruiter from a top firm in California reached out. "We like the way you think," the email read. But she wasn't ready to leave, yet. Carol's catering empire was booming, but shallow. Pamela had watched the signs. Bad reviews creeping in, staff quitting, inconsistent orders. Carol had speed, but no system. Pamela was learning system design, inventory flow, supplier contracts, everything Carol ignored. One night, while delivering a last-minute order to a professor's dinner party, Pamela overheard a guest raving about a logistics firm that grew from a garage to a nationwide delivery powerhouse. "All started with a woman who had nothing but grit," the man said. Pamela smiled. The world didn't need another flashy faceplate brand. It needed backbone. Pamela was building it. Quietly. Strategically. And when it was ready, she wouldn't just compete with Carol, she would own her lane completely. Revenge wasn't a dish. It was a distribution network. The tipping point came when Pamela entered a pitch competition hosted by a tech accelerator in San Francisco. Her project, a catering logistics platform that could help small food businesses streamline delivery without owning a fleet. based on her experience and the pain of losing her business, she knew exactly what other entrepreneurs needed. Her pitch was precise. Her story? Honest, but never bitter. I lost my business, she said. But I learned to build something no one could steal. The room went silent. Then applause. Pamela placed first. The judges funded her prototype. She relocated to California on a scholarship and startup grant. Lori wept with pride. You're building something bigger than food, she said. Carol, meanwhile, launched a spice line and partnered with a chain of local diners. The press called her Atlanta's flavor queen. Pamela didn't flinch. She knew the crash was coming. Carol's foundation was built on speed, not strength. And Pamela was building the software and systems that Carol's competitors desperately needed. Soon, Carol wouldn't just compete with Pamela. She'd depend on her. The first silent strike was near. Pamela didn't need to drag Carol down. She was about to rise so high, the fall would echo without a single word. California felt like another universe. Pamela's morning started with coffee meetings in Silicon Valley and ended with coding sessions with her dev team. The startup world was fast, chaotic, but exactly what she'd trained for. Her catering logistics app, TrayTrack, caught fire. Dozens of caterers signed up during the beta launch, praising its simplicity. I finally run my kitchen without panic, one said. Pamela smiled. That was the goal. She wasn't just building software. She was solving her old problem, for thousands like her. One day, while reviewing app usage data, she froze. A user account registered to Benson's Kitchen LLC appeared. The name? Hidden behind a dummy email. But the address? One of Carol's old venues. Pamela smirked. So Carol was using her app. Oh, the irony. Carol had once stolen her business. Now she was running it using Pamela's system. Silent. Effective. Legal. Poetic. Pamela didn't deactivate the account. She made note of every flaw Carol flagged, and fixed it immediately. Her revenge wasn't about pettiness. It was about dominance. Not only was Carol no longer ahead, she was now unknowingly feeding Pamela data. And when the full launch dropped, Carol wouldn't just lose customers. She'd lose control. Pamela launched TrayTrack Pro with new features, real-time kitchen tracking, vendor syncing, and automated driver assignments. It became the talk of the food service industry. Industry blogs called it the Uber of catering logistics. Investors lined up. Carol, unaware of Pamela's involvement, posted a tweet, "Game changer. This new app just streamlined our entire weekend workflow." Pamela bookmarked it. She didn't need to respond. The receipts were stacking themselves. Then came the moment she'd been waiting for. One of Atlanta's biggest event companies reached out. They wanted to license TrayTrack Pro citywide, including to all caterers they partnered with. Pamela smiled. "Let me personally handle Atlanta onboarding," she said. A month later, her team was running a full rollout in Carol's backyard. Her own face, not a fake brand, was now tied to the very tool Carol depended on. No press release. No boast. Just a quiet return to the city where it all fell apart. Lori hugged her the moment she landed. "You're doing it," she said. "You're winning." Pamela nodded. "Not just winning," she whispered. "Reclaiming everything. But this time, with leverage and proof." Carol still had no idea Pamela was behind the tech. But that revelation was coming soon. And it would be brutal. Pamela arranged a live demo at the Atlanta Women in Business Expo. Her name was on the program. Her company logo, Cole Logistics Group, sat proudly next to sponsors like FedEx and Amazon Fresh. Pamela stood behind the booth in a tailored red suit. Composed. Powerful. Focused. Midway through the event, Carol walked by. She stopped cold. Their eyes met. For a second, Carol looked confused. Then pale. Then furious. "You," she hissed. Pamela offered a polite smile. "Hi, Carol. Welcome to my booth." Carol blinked, scanning the logos, the posters, the crowd. "You made this?" "Built it," Pamela said. "From scratch. No stolen ingredients this time." Carol's jaw tightened. "You're behind TrayTrack?" Pamela nodded. "And every update you've been enjoying?" Carol flushed. People were watching. A nearby investor leaned in. "You two know each other?" Pamela didn't break eye contact. "Let's just say, some of us grow through pain. Others just profit from it temporarily." Carol turned and stormed off. Pamela didn't follow. She didn't need to. The crowd around her grew, investors took cards, and her booth stayed packed. The revenge wasn't loud. It was strategic. And in that moment, Pamela knew, she wasn't running a business anymore. She was running the whole show. Word spread fast after the expo. Social media buzzed. "Wait, Pamela Cole is the founder of TrayTrack? Didn't she disappear after her business got stolen? That's the comeback of the year." Pamela stayed quiet. Let the speculation build. Carol, on the other hand, was spiraling. She posted a long message about false narratives, claiming Pamela was trying to take credit for others' success. But screenshots don't lie. Emails. Beta test receipts. The post she made praising TrayTrack, still online. Pamela's legal team reached out to remove unauthorized branding Carol had copied years ago from the original Pam's Southern Table website. The takedown notice hit hard. Carol's blog, recipe ebook, and Spice Line site all went dark. But Pamela wasn't finished. She offered Atlanta's food incubator program a full software partnership, free for 6 months. It included live training and a marketing guide, branded under her name. Small caterers flocked to her. Carol tried to undercut with discounts, but her systems couldn't keep up. Orders got mixed up. Reviews dropped. Staff quit. Pamela didn't gloat. She expanded. The city that once forgot her was now shaped by her tech, her name, her values. And Carol? She wasn't just behind. She was invisible. That's how Pamela wanted it. The most satisfying revenge is silence, and undeniable success. Carol reached out late one night. A cold, clipped email. "We need to talk. You've made your point." Pamela stared at the screen. She hadn't replied to Carol in 2 years. She thought about ignoring it. But then, she saw an opportunity. They met at a quiet cafe in Midtown. Carol wore oversized sunglasses, but nothing could hide the cracks. Her voice wavered. "I'm not doing well," she admitted. Pamela stirred her tea. "I know." Carol sighed. "I didn't think you'd bounce back. Not like this." "I didn't bounce back," Pamela replied. "I rebuilt." Carol leaned in. "Look. We could work together. Combine efforts. TrayTrack with my catering brand." Pamela's laugh was quiet, razor sharp. "You think I'd hand over my software to the person who stole from me?" "I said I was sorry." "No, you didn't," Pamela corrected. "You said I was holding you back." Carol sat back, defeated. "What do you want, Pamela?" Pamela locked eyes with her. "Nothing. That's the difference between us. You always wanted more. I wanted meaning." She stood, leaving Carol speechless. Outside, Pamela exhaled. That wasn't closure. That was confirmation. Her revenge was complete. Carol wasn't a threat. She was a footnote. Pamela's face appeared on the cover of Logistics Weekly with the headline, "From Burn to Brilliant, the Woman Redefining Food Tech." Requests flooded in, speaking gigs, podcast interviews, TV features. But Pamela chose carefully. No gossip. No bitterness. She spoke only of resilience, systems, and creating tools that empower others. Her company's valuation passed $10 million. Investors offered to buy her out. She declined. Instead, she used the funding to launch a second product, ShelfWise, an AI-powered tool for food inventory management. It complemented TrayTrack perfectly. Then something unexpected happened. A venture capital firm asked her to consult for a brand trying to recover from logistics issues. The brand? Benson's Kitchen. Carol's business. Pamela laughed when she saw the request. Her assistant asked, "Should I decline?" Pamela shook her head. "No. Schedule a meeting. I want her to ask for help directly." This wasn't about ego. It was the final move in a long, strategic game. Let Carol see exactly how far behind she was, how success isn't about stealing ideas. It's about evolving. And Pamela? She'd evolved into everything Carol pretended to be, and more. The boardroom was sleek, modern, high-rise, Pamela's territory. Carol walked in slowly, accompanied by two stiff executives. Her face was tight, makeup carefully applied, but nothing could mask the desperation. Pamela stood at the head of the table. "Thanks for coming," she said. Carol gave a forced smile. "We're considering a partnership." Pamela raised a brow. "Or a bailout?" One of the executives coughed awkwardly. "Ms. Cole, Benson's Kitchen is struggling with fulfillment, vendor timing, and quality control." "I'm aware," Pamela said. "We track data from every platform user." Carol's eyes widened. "You knew?" "I built it." Carol looked down. "I didn't think it would come to this." Pamela flipped through the folder in front of her. "We'll help. On one condition." Carol perked up. "Anything. My name goes on every location you still manage. Powered by Cole Logistics. Front and center." Carol froze. Pamela smiled. "Or you can keep struggling." Silence stretched. Then Carol nodded. The deal was made. Pamela didn't just reclaim her crown. She branded her legacy on the very empire that once stole from her. And Carol? She now worked under the name she tried to erase. Poetic Justice, signed in ink. The press release hit the next day. Benson's Kitchen enters partnership with Cole Logistics Group. Online chatter exploded. Wait. Pamela's company owns Benson's now? She really flipped the game. Pamela didn't celebrate with champagne. She cooked jollof rice, smoked turkey, cornbread, and peach cobbler. She invited her team over, along with her mom Lori and her mentor, Uncle Miller. "This is your real brand," Uncle Miller said, spooning collard greens. "Hard work. Honesty. And taste." Pamela laughed. The recipe never changed. Lori raised her glass. "To revenge?" Pamela shook her head. "No. To respect. Because that's what she gained, not just in business, but in life." She could have fought fire with fire. Instead, she chose blueprints, resilience, and power moves. And in doing so, she didn't just win. She taught the world that silence is never weakness. It's preparation. Carol faded from headlines. Pamela rose on stages. And when young girls asked how she did it, she always said, "Let them underestimate you. Then let your work speak louder than your scars." Revenge was never the mission. Redemption was. Pamela's name began appearing in conversations where her old brand had once been mocked. "Need your business to scale? Call Pamela Cole. She's not just a CEO, she's a blueprint." Her quiet empire wasn't just expanding, it was inspiring. Colleges requested her to speak. Georgia State invited her back to lecture. Standing in the same lecture hall where she once sat, sleepless and broken, Pamela held a whiteboard marker with steady fingers. "You don't need revenge to win," she told the students. "You just need purpose. And a system that works when everything else breaks." Afterward, students lined up to shake her hand. Some whispered their own betrayals, their fears, their hope. Pamela stayed until the last one left. Not because she owed them. Because someone had once done that for her. That night, she updated her vision board again. The photo of her first booth at the wedding expo. The email from Emery that changed her life. And now, a sticky note that read, "Next, global." Her revenge had become something bigger, a legacy. And nothing, not even Carol's betrayal, could stop the momentum now. Because Pamela had turned pain into power. And the world was finally watching. Carol's catering business was barely holding on. The licensing deal with Cole Logistics had improved operations, but it came with public shame. Pamela's name was on every truck. Every invoice. Every system. Some clients even thought Carol worked for Pamela. It gnawed at her. She tried launching new ideas, but nothing stuck. Pamela had absorbed the market. Even staff began applying to Cole Logistics, hoping to grow with someone who values people. Meanwhile, Pamela was in talks with a major tech firm to scale TradeTrack nationally. One afternoon, Carol sent another email. Short. "Congratulations. You won." Pamela read it twice. Then deleted it. There was nothing to say. Carol hadn't learned. She hadn't apologized. She still thought it was a game. Pamela didn't play games anymore. She played strategy. She didn't need Carol's validation. She had results, receipts, and respect. The kind of respect you can't steal. Carol's final punishment wasn't Pamela's doing. It was time. Because time always exposes what's real, and what's built on lies. And Pamela? She'd built something unshakable. Pamela traveled to New York City for the National Women in Tech Gala. She wasn't attending, she was the keynote speaker. On stage, under the soft golden lights, she looked out at the hundreds of faces waiting to hear her story. She told them about the betrayal. Not by name, never petty. But precise. "I lost everything I built. But in that loss, I learned how to build something that couldn't be stolen. Something written in code, not paper." Applause. "I didn't retaliate with fire. I built a furnace." The room roared. That speech made its way to YouTube. It went viral. Comments flooded in. "That's how you level up. Now that's revenge without losing your soul." Pamela didn't just become famous. She became respected. Her LinkedIn requests tripled. Media coverage exploded. Investors competed. And back in Atlanta, Carol sat in her office watching the video, her jaw clenched. The girl she once dismissed had become the woman leading the industry. Pamela had done the impossible. She'd flipped betrayal into brilliance. And the world finally knew it. Pamela was back in California finalizing her next move, a merger. A major logistics firm wanted to acquire TradeTrack for 8 figures. But Pamela didn't rush. She negotiated like a woman who had rebuilt everything with her bare hands. "I want full creative control," she told the board. "And I want half of this money routed to minority-owned food startups." The room went quiet. "Is that negotiable?" a man asked. Pamela raised an eyebrow. "No." The deal went through. Not just because she was smart, but because she was principled. Her company didn't just change lives. It refused to sell out. Pamela used the payout to start a foundation. The Rebuild Grant, a program funding betrayed, overlooked, or underestimated entrepreneurs. Applicants didn't need a business plan. They just needed a story. And every time she read one, Pamela remembered herself at rock bottom, broken, betrayed. Now, she wasn't just running the show. She was rewriting the entire script. And making sure no one else had to rise from nothing alone. Lori Cole sat quietly in Pamela's new office, overlooking the San Francisco Bay. The view was breathtaking, glass buildings, endless water, sunlight pouring in. She looked at her daughter, seated confidently behind a sleek desk. "You've come so far," Lori said softly. Pamela smiled. "I just got started." They sipped coffee, talking about how it all began: Atlanta, food deliveries, the betrayal. Lori asked, "If you could go back, would you change anything?" Pamela thought for a moment. "No," she said. "Losing everything showed me who I was." Lori nodded. "Even Carol?" Pamela looked out the window. "She taught me something too. That shortcuts don't build legacy." Later that day, Pamela walked past a framed quote on her wall. "Outgrow them. Outwork them. Outlive the lie." Her entire journey lived in that sentence. Carol faded into the background. Pamela stepped forward, on stage, in boardrooms, and into history. Because revenge wasn't the story. Reinvention was. And Pamela Cole had become the proof that a stolen dream can be rebuilt into an empire, with silence, strategy, and soul. Pamela returned to Atlanta for a private event, the Black Women in Business Honors. She wasn't attending as a guest. She was the honoree. The same city that once whispered behind her back now stood in ovation. Former clients, students, even competitors came to celebrate her. And quietly, in the back row, Carol Benson sat alone. She wasn't on the guest list. But she came anyway. When Pamela took the stage, she paused before the mic. "I was once told I was too slow, too small, too soft to succeed. But I learned something: real strength doesn't shout. It builds." The crowd clapped. My business was stolen. My name was dragged. But I chose not to fight dirty. I built quietly. And now, I don't compete, I create standards. Tears rolled down Carol's cheeks. Pamela didn't see her. She didn't need to. This moment wasn't for revenge. It was for redemption. And that made it more powerful than any clapback ever could be. Pamela stepped down to thunderous applause. She hadn't just returned to Atlanta. She'd returned as a legend. After the gala, Pamela sat alone on the rooftop of her Atlanta hotel, looking out over the city lights. She thought of her early days: burnt fingers, broken down cars, late-night tears. Of Carol's betrayal. Of the night she almost gave up. But every moment had built her. Each setback had sharpened her edge. Her phone buzzed with a message from a mentee. "I was gonna quit, until I heard your story." Pamela smiled. That was the real reward. Not the applause. Not the millions. But knowing her survival gave others strength. Suddenly, the pain made sense. The betrayal wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning of her power. Because Pamela hadn't just bounced back. She'd transcended. And now, she was lifting others as she climbed. The world was watching. But Pamela wasn't performing. She was leading. Pamela's foundation received over 4,000 applications in its first year. She personally read the top 100. Stories of single moms, immigrant founders, teen inventors, all burned with the same fire she once carried. One night, she found an application with a familiar last name, Benson. But it wasn't Carol. It was Carol's younger cousin, Tiara. She wrote, "My cousin's success inspired me to try, but I want to build something that's mine." Pamela paused. It would have been easy to decline her. But that wasn't her mission. She approved the grant. Tiara received $10,000 in business mentorship. Pamela met her weeks later. "You're not your cousin," she said. Tiara nodded. And you're not just your past. Pamela smiled. Revenge was never meant to punish. It was meant to clear the path. Now she was clearing it, for the next dreamer. And this time, it wasn't out of spite. It was out of purpose. Pamela received a call from a publishing house. We want your story. Memoir. Documentary. Speaking tour. She hesitated. Telling it all meant revisiting everything. But then she thought about the girls in small kitchens, tired women with big dreams, the silent ones plotting comebacks. They needed to know. So she wrote it. Title, From Stolen to CEO. It hit #1 in 2 weeks. Netflix called. A documentary series followed. And suddenly, Pamela's quiet rise was broadcast worldwide. Carol reached out again. A voice message this time. I watched it. You're incredible. I'm sorry. Pamela saved the message. But she never responded. Some chapters don't need closure. They just need distance. And Pamela had traveled far, mentally, emotionally, and globally. Her story wasn't about Carol anymore. It was about what happens when you stop proving your worth. And start owning it. 1 year later, Pamela stood in her San Francisco headquarters, overlooking the skyline. Employees moved through glass corridors. Her portrait hung in the lobby. A reporter asked, final question, do you believe in revenge? Pamela thought for a moment. No, she said. I believe in results. The interviewer raised an eyebrow. So success is your revenge? Pamela smiled. Success isn't revenge. It's proof. Proof that no matter what they take, ideas, credit, reputation, they can't take your will to rise. Outside, her team prepared for the company's 5-year anniversary. Banners read. Built from scratch. Engineered for impact. Pamela looked around and whispered to herself. I didn't just run the show. I became the show. And just like that, the girl they tried to bury became the woman the world couldn't ignore.